I'm actually pretty excited about this matchup, Ellie. I think most people are going to think 2 weeks ago these teams played, and they played in basically a shootout, scoring a ton of points. I think people are going to maybe lean more towards a higher scoring game. We got some weather coming in on this game, man. I don't think it's a division game. It's outdoors now. In some crazy tropical storm is coming in. There's going to be heavy winds. I think there's a lot of leverage to be had on this slate, man. I really do. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us, guys. This is the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, what's up with you, man? How you doing?
Doing pretty good, bro. Actually pretty proud of myself, dude. I've been to the gym every day this week.
Hey, nice, man.
Finally getting into a real life routine.
Nice, man.
But yeah, I'm actually kind of with you here. I disagree that the under is going to hit, but this is one of those games I'm actually kind of excited for because these are two sloppy teams, but with like exciting players, like we all know C. Patterson and his ability to tear it up, and I just think it's going to be a little bit more fun than some of these bullshit games that we've seen on prime time.
I think so too. And did you say Steve Patterson?
C. Patterson.
Oh,
I don't know why I did
Steve
that.
Patterson.
I know his
I'm
name
like,
is
hey.
Cordero.
All right, we're gonna start having to call him that, Steve.
Steve.
All right, well, let's look at quickly. I want to look at some props here right off the bat. You pulled this up earlier. So this is anytime touchdown score odds. So Cordero Patterson's at plus 105, Devontae Foreman 130, DJ Moore 155, Chuba Hubbard 170, Algier, Mariota, and then Kyle Pitts. So this is, I built a rush heavy lineup before we got on. I think I put it in the screenshot here, or the thumbnail for this episode, and I stacked it up with a lot of run game. And it looks like that's happening here. We've seen the most likely to score besides DJ Moore. You're looking at a lot of potential rushing touchdowns involved here. So what jumps out to you here, man? Is Vegas kind of thinking the same thing I am, where it's a slower pace game, run the ball, weather game? Is that what we're seeing?
You know what? I think that they might be leaning a little bit towards that. I think you said that you were doing some research and you saw the line shift a little bit, and we can get into that a little bit more in a bit. But I think a couple things to note here. First of all, I am not sponsored by Draftkings whatsoever, but they are running a profit boost or some kind of boost for Cordero Patterson anytime touchdown to plus 200.
Ooh,
I
nice.
will be putting money on that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's really interesting here is Marcus Mariota having pretty solid odds. And just keep in mind for quarterbacks, this isn't throwing touchdowns. This is rushing or receiving.
Yeah.
Which we've seen Marcus Mariota do. So, we got that three-headed monster back there at quarterback. That's really interesting to me, and kind of cement some of I try not to get married to anybody while I'm prepping, but I do like Marcus Mariota a lot. Mariota, what the fuck?
Yeah, I do too, man. And him with him and Cordero Patterson in the same lineup, and even a guy like Algier, we saw Patterson they kind of just eased him back into it. I think he got 34% of the snaps or something like that. I think this week they're going to jam him in, but you still probably see some work out of some of these other backups potentially. But Cordero Patterson, for receiving wise too, we know he can score touchdowns there, so I'm all in on that. I'm going to be huge on Cordero Patterson in this game. I have been for the last couple years. It's just only been cool the last 2 years, basically. All right, let's look at this here. So obviously we have bad weather coming in. So I'm here in Florida. It hit just south of me. Second hurricane we had to deal with in the past basically month. This one was not even a fraction of how bad Ian was. But look, it's making its way up, and it's going to hit, it's going to hit the Carolinas probably Friday. So you're going to start to see some bad weather coming in. You're going to start to see probably sustained 15 plus mile per hour winds, maybe up to 20. And then you're going to see 35 mile per hour wind gusts. So when it comes to passing the ball, kicking the ball, boost the defense potentially, we got to talk about this because this could affect. I don't think it's going to be as bad as that what was that, a Mac Jones game of last season where he threw the ball 4 times. Yeah. It's not going to be that bad, but we have to talk about it because it's unpredictable. These tropical storms can increase; they can move off to the coast more as we get closer to lock tonight, I think we really need to look at the line movement on the total, because now we're at 41.5. That was at 42.5 like an hour ago. Are they reacting to a different shift in the weather? I don't know. Is it news to do with players? I don't know. But we got to keep an eye on that, because this storm could shift, and maybe it's not as bad as we thought. We got to just kind of look at that. 41.5 total. The ownership's pretty close. Atlanta is favored by 2.5. So what jumps out to you here, man?
Look, man, I think the biggest thing we need to pay attention to is obviously the weather. Eh, we've got some real quality quarterbacks on the Carolina side. Marcus Mariota, I think he's fine. He's serviceable. It is what it is. But PJ Walker and I mean Baker, Sam Darnold, even if any of those guys get run, and there's even like if the wind gets above 2.5 miles per hour, that's deeply concerning. If we start seeing like 10, 15 miles an hour winds, like I think Young Ho Koo might be my favorite player at that point, because I think he's the only one who might be able to survive that shit. Anyways, I just wanted to say his name, guys, so I apologize for that. But look, the weather is going to play a massive impact here, obviously. And I mean, this is in Carolina, right? So if this shifts at all, we could see some serious weather.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, if the storm moves a little bit faster than we think it's going to move, and it comes in a little earlier, this could turn into a run-heavy game, very wet. We're already looking at two quarterbacks who probably aren't the best when it comes to throwing the ball. And we also have to talk about, we'll get to that in a minute, but we got to talk about PJ Walker. We know what he is at this point. I know he came out and had a pretty good game 2 weeks ago against the Falcons in that game. But look, we know what PJ Walker is at this point. He's probably making the veteran minimum, potentially. They got two expensive-ass dudes, healthy dudes, sitting on the bench right now. At what point do they pull PJ Walker if he throws a pick six or something and just put in Baker Mayfield? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't they're paying these dudes. Let's see what they really got. Like, Baker Mayfield has not had a good year by any means. Sam Darnold has gotten his shot. We might as well see what these guys can do. Maybe they can find something with the new coach. I just don't see them holding on to PJ Walker too much. I think they're putting him in, letting him play. As soon as he makes a mistake, they're going to pull his ass out, just like they did last week, right? I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're going to end up seeing here. I mean, look, PJ Walker, good for him. I'm glad that he got a job in the NFL, but that's mostly because of his XFL short-lived season / career, right? So good for him, but he is a backup in the NFL for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Baker is any better, but like he is. I mean, well, he is a little bit better, right?
Yeah,
he was a first overall draft pick, first round pick.
Yeah.
So even Sam Darnold, right? Like these, I think we should see a little bit of them. But who knows? This is also Steve Wilkes. He ended up drafting Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
So we don't know if he really understands the quarterback position at all.
Let's look at injuries.
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere.
So there's not a whole lot to talk about here. Chuba Hubbard's questionable. He's been out the last 2 weeks. I don't know, man. He's got an ankle injury. He's practiced this week. It's a short week, so do they rush him out there? Is he the future running back of this franchise? I don't know. So that's the question here: is if he plays, I'm definitely interested in him if he plays, and I'm still interested in D'Onta Foreman, whether or not he plays or not. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So D'Onta Foreman, I mean, he is the RB1 with CMC gone. And then Chuba Hubbard, he's absolutely serviceable. I do expect him to get some run in the pass game a little bit, but Draftkings has his backup price. They're the third string running back price. Like they're unsure of whether or not Chuba's going to play. So I think we're going to have to make some decisions and see what kind of construction we can fit with these guys.
Other notable injuries, let's see. So AJ Terrell is out for the Falcons. That's their top corner. Casey Hayward, he's on IR right now. So your top two corners are out in this game. And you got a guy, Cornell Armstrong, I think it's his fourth year in the league. He's one of the worst rated corners in the league right now. So that's something to look at, because you're already looking at a bad pass defense, and now you're adding to that. I don't know. I don't care what the weather is. If you can complete 10-yard passes all day long, it's not really going to make a huge difference. All right, so let's go to anything else to talk about. You want to go to our breakdown here?
Yeah, while you're pulling that up, though, guys, give us a like and a follow. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by Thanksgiving, and Tyson and I have been talking about some other things. We might have some DraftKings gift cards coming out.
Yeah.
For those of you that help us get to the goal, and that's all of you, right? And then one other piece before we get into this: follow us on Twitter. There's been a lot of bullshit going on with Elon buying it. We're not going to be paying for a subscription, and I know people are crazy out there. So follow us on Twitter. Our handles are exactly what you see here, and we'll keep you up to date on the real news. We're not following a bunch of parody accounts. We're following actual DFS stuff. So we've already done the vetting. So you can rely on us a little bit more. We'll retweet, we'll share in the Discord, whatever you need to make sure you've got the proper news. For each game.
That Discord is free, by the way. Just click that link; it'll take you right in there. You can join it and stay up to date on information right before lock. All right, let's get into this. Break it down. All right, so we've got more than 2 quarterbacks here to start this. So Marcus Mariota is 10.2K. I'm heavily interested in him, both his passing ability, maybe not so much, but his rushing ability. I believe he's averaging like 40 rush yards the past 6 weeks or something. That he's basically getting a lot of opportunity on the ground, and it looks pretty good for him. I love him in this matchup. I think a lot of captain is up there, and definitely in the flex, because I do think that we're gonna have to make a tough choice. There's gonna be with the builds we're doing, it's gonna be Marcus Mariota, or it's going to be DJ Moore potentially with some of the builds we're doing. So we'll get into that in a minute. But Phillip Walker, PJ Walker, 9,600. He's getting the start. He will start the game unless something massive happens before lock. But I don't know how long he's going to be in the game. And look, he's 9,600. Baker Mayfield's 9,600. Sam Darnold's 9,400. I think there's a chance, he could have a pretty decent game. But if you look at the game he had against Atlanta a few weeks ago, you take away that 160-yard touchdown at the end there, he's looking like another average type game. And I just don't see him coming out. And if he makes a mistake in this game, in a weather game, they're going to pull him, man. So thoughts here. I don't think I'm going to play any Baker Mayfield unless maybe I'm doing a random Millie Maker or something. But it's just more about how much Phillip Walker do I want? How much PJ Walker do I want? And he might be the second highest owned guy on the slate. I don't agree with that.
First of all, I just, I got to talk shit to whoever decided to use his government name on this. His name is fucking PJ, man. But look, Marcus Mariota, I'm going to have a shitload of him. Atlanta tends to play pretty balanced on offense. We'd like to see, you would think that they would have different splits at home, right, where they run the ball more, but they don't. They're going to pass the ball about 57, 58% of the time, and that's just what it is. So if we're seeing 23, 24, 25 attempts from Mariota, I think he definitely gets there. And then to your point, he's got the rushing upside and receiving upside. Again, we saw that in the playoffs. But I love Marcus Mariota for this game. Panthers are giving up 25.3 points per game. But to the big question of the day, PJ Walker and some of these backups. I don't personally like PJ Walker. Looking at some of the initial ownership projections here, he's coming in a lot higher than I would expect, considering he's 9,600 and you're gonna miss a stud playing him. I understand that if he gets those 14, 15 points, you might need him. But at the same time, if he has 15 points and all those points were to DJ Moore, right, then having DJ Moore is going to be more beneficial than PJ. So look, I don't necessarily want to fade anybody, but right now it's looking like the Carolina quarterback position. If I have these guys at all, any of them, it will be a very, very intentional stack where I'm scripting for something specific, like, the game 2 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do think that a guy like Chuba Hubbard can outscore Walker at even as a 1B option at the running back. I think in this particular game, you got guys that are way cheaper than Phillip Walker that you can plug in and save some value there. And then you also don't have that uncertainty of whether or not he's going to get pulled after the first quarter. All right, let's go to running back here. Let's start with Atlanta. How about that? Let's go with Atlanta.
Let's do it.
So we're looking at Cordero Patterson, 11.8K, definitely expensive. He's a touchdown machine. Last week he came back and, I think I started him in some of my season longs. I had a bunch of him in best ball, and I didn't really expect much out of him. I just maybe he get a couple receptions, maybe he'll get 1 touchdown, but he did well. He didn't have most of the carries or most of the opportunities, but he still paid off because he had those touchdowns. So my point here is when he's in the red zone, when he has the ability to score, he's going to do it. He's a great running back, great wide receiver. I'm glad that finally somebody saw what he can actually do, and he's not just a kick returner in a league where kick returners don't matter anymore. Anyways, I'm rambling here, but my point is I love Cordero Patterson. I probably have him in most of my lineups, along with, I think, the rest of the field. He's not a absolute like free square, like, oh, he's gonna have a great game. But I just feel like he has the highest opportunity to be the highest scorer on this slate. Do you agree with me there?
Absolutely. Man, Cordero Patterson, I will probably have about 100% of him. The only reason I won't have him is if I'm trying to do some dumbass shit where I fade him for 2 quarterback lineups or something. But other than that, like I'm sticking to Cordero Patterson, and I might even handcuff. I have no problems throwing in Tyler Algier or Caleb Huntley.
Yeah.
Cordero Patterson, he was eased into it. He was eased into the workload on Sunday with 14 carries, like 45 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think you spread some of that work out with Tyler or Caleb on a short week, right? Both those guys have the opportunity to get some points. So again, right? Like I think the question we got to come down to is, do we think Caleb Huntley has the potential to outscore like I don't know 8,400 Drake London or something along those lines? And I think it's realistic. So I don't mind handcuffing these guys and get ready to hear some different stuff on the Atlanta side. But these other 2 dudes, Avery Williams and Keith Sweat, I don't think I'll have either of them.
Dude, I can't believe that, man. How long? We've been friends way too long. I've been calling him Keith Sweat during my prep the whole time.
Yeah, I knew. Look, obviously we're not playing those guys. I wanted to make that joke.
We sort of buried the lead here. Carolina defense 30th in the NFL against opposing running backs. They're giving up 25.7 fantasy points per game. They gave up 4 rushing touchdowns to Mixon last week, 5 total touchdowns last week. I'm going to jam in as many guys that I think can run the ball on this slate as I possibly can. That includes Mariota, Patterson, and Algier in the same lineup. Shit, sign me up for that on a weather game.
Yeah. Joe Burrow had a rushing touchdown, by the way. Mixon should have had 6 total touchdowns.
Oh, my God. So that's your Carolina defense there. Let's jump to the other side here. Carolina running backs. You got Deontay Foreman at 7,800, Chuba Hubbard, questionable, 5,800, and Raheem Blackshear at 5K. So Deontay Foreman at 7,800, man, this guy, I'm super excited to jam him into a lot of lineups. He's probably around 30% owned, probably like 4th or 5th highest owned captain, maybe more, or like maybe lower. To me, I'm super into him at 7,800. I'm into Chuba Hubbard if he plays at 5,800. I think you could jam both of them into the same lineup, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Dante Foreman. He's going to get a majority of the carries, and I think people are going to shy off of him a little bit because of the bullshit performance from last week. But when you're getting your ass whooped, like there's only so many rushing opportunities that you're going to get. Your quarterback was like 1 for 7 through the first half. Like the offense just wasn't doing anything at all. Atlanta's defense sucks dick for free at parties. So like, I just don't understand like how we're going to be able to get outside of the run game here. Again, I want to handcuff on this side of the ball. I think the running backs are coming in just too low owned. I great get the starters, but both these defenses are bad, man. Carolina's at home with the weather. It's just I see the running game happen. Now I'm not going to play Hubbard and Blackshear in the same lineup, for example.
Yeah, agree.
The
only reason I mentioned
find
Blackshear,
whoever's actually playing.
Yeah, the only reason I mentioned him is just because if Chuba Hubbard's out, I think Blackshear at $8,000 or $800 cheaper is still a pretty decent option. If you put him, in a vacuum, I think Chuba Hubbard's the better option overall. But if he's out, Blackshear at 5K, that's a nice option. All right, anything else to talk about here?
No, we're good.
Wide receivers, DJ Moore, 9,200. Terrace Marshall, not Terrence, it's Terrace, 8,400. Shi Smith, 36. And Laviska Shenault, this guy's career has gone downhill quite a bit. He's at 3K. Biggest thing to mention here. Let's start out with the biggest piece of information we can talk about. Falcons defense allows 37.4 fantasy points to opposing wide receivers this year. That's all the wide receivers on the opposite team. That's pretty crazy, man. They're without their top two corners. DJ Moore is going up against a corner that's not very good this year. He's one of the lowest rated quarterbacks in the NFL. 27 targets, 18 receptions on him. Cornell Armstrong. The Falcons run a lot of zone defense. This is gonna put a lot of pressure on the linebackers to cover more. I just don't look on paper. These guys are in a smash spot. On paper, you're talking about third string quarterback throwing the ball on a team that's not very good. I don't know, man. Like there's a path that I see maybe DJ Moore underperforms, especially with his ownership, especially with his price, and the fact that, look, I'm not trying to take this away from him, but if you take away that Hail Mary pass at the end of the game, I mean, he just has basically just a above average game. Everybody's going to remember the 30 fantasy points, what it did. I mean, shit, I won 2K because of him. So I remember that. Sure. But in a rain game with a bad quarterback, I just don't think it's as big of a lock as everybody seems to think. That's just me. I'm probably crazy. I'm still going to play a lot of DJ Moore, but maybe I just fade him in a couple of different lineups. Thoughts?
Yeah, man. So listen to this. Carolina, they generally pass the ball around 58% of the time. Now, they pass the ball 61% when they're at home, and they run the ball 55% away. This game is obviously in Carolina, so we're going to see a little bit of a boost in the passing game against terrible Atlanta defense. So, I think that's what people are expecting here. DJ Moore, terrible defense. He's probably going to do okay. I just think he's better at a captain play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
9,200 is a little expensive for the flex. If he has one of these 10, 12, 13-point games, that's really not going to get it done. I don't think at the flex. So I don't know, man. I think he maybe stay with the field and go from there. But I do want to say this, right? Because Atlanta's defense is so bad at stopping the pass, like, I think it's worth noting that you probably want to have one of these guys in most of your lineups, or at least one of the tight ends.
Yeah. If you look, I'm not saying to blindly just not play these wide receivers. I think you probably should lean towards playing at least one of them. But my reasoning behind maybe going without DJ Moore. First of all, I'm gonna have to fade probably Mariota or one of the running backs that I really want. And second of all, he's going to be probably the highest owned player on the slate potentially. So if you're looking to get crazy and you're looking to enter a milli maker or something, well, in my opinion, DJ Moore has the highest chances of kind of sucking. And that's just my opinion on it. I could be wrong. Comment down, clown me in the comments. That's fine. But I'm going to I'm doing one high dollar entry. I mean, what, $200? That's for me, that's high. Single entry tonight. I'm going to try to mess around with some different strategies. I think I'm going to fade DJ Moore in that lineup. Now it's probably crazy, but anyways, I'll move on. Let's go to Atlanta.
Before we move on from these guys, though, I do want to talk about Shi Smith and Laviska Shenault.
Yeah.
So Viska, he is a big play guy. He could get caught up in some screens and just truck people. Remember, bad defensive backs. This is like Anquan Bolden Jr. just never playing. So if he catches the ball, he does have the ability to take one to the house. And then Shi Smith, if I'm saying that right, is interesting. He's got 60% of the snaps, which is second to third to Robbie Anderson, who's obviously not on the team anymore. So I know he doesn't look great. His performance doesn't look great, but if he's going to be on the field, if he's going to be getting, 9-10% of the targets, he's probably going to be less than 15% owned at that price. We need to find some value. I am comfortable throwing him in a couple lineups.
Yeah. And Terrace Marshall too. He's been looking pretty good recently. Yeah. These last two performances have been pretty good. So hey, I think you gotta try to fit these guys in. The optimizer is gonna fit them in for you if you're just crunching. And I might be a little bit under the field. That's the end of it for me. All right, so Atlanta, Drake London 8,200, freaking Zacchaeus 5,400, Jameer Bird 4,400, and then Kadero Hodge 1,400, Brian Edwards. What happened to that guy? 200. Look, Drake London, man, 8,200. I think he's going to be kind of popular, but I don't know, man. Anybody here jump out to you? But Jameer Bird at 4,400 is kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't mind any of these guys. I like Drake London. He could end up with a bunch of catches. Olamide Zacchaeus, I have him in a couple of my best ball leagues, and he's, he'll get a couple volume. He'll get a couple games where he gets a pretty decent amount of targets. But look, I think when it comes to Atlanta, like I want to sprinkle in exposure to the wide receivers. I'm not necessarily as high on them as I am just look. I'm prioritizing Mariota and Cordero Patterson. I can soak up a lot of the wide receiver or the pass catching
Yeah.
stats by having Mariota,
Yeah.
but I don't lose out on the rushing upside.
Hmm.
But again, I don't mind sprinkling these guys in. Carolina's defense, they're giving up 20 points per game. So uh, those touchdowns got to go somewhere. Excuse me. Kadero Hodge and Brian Edwards, I'm not necessarily interested in, though. They're really not getting much work at all.
Yeah. I think just because you have Mariota at captain or a ton of them in the flex doesn't mean you need to have a ton of these guys. Because like you were saying, you could soak up a lot of that, a lot of those points in the passing game. As long as Drake London doesn't score like 2 touchdowns or something and get like 9 receptions, well, then of course you're gonna need him. But I don't think I'm gonna go too heavy on these guys. I just don't like it. Tight ends, Kyle Pitts, 7K. Everybody's been very disappointed in Kyle Pitts. When's he gonna have his 3 touchdown game? When's he gonna have his 10 reception game? I don't know, man. Is it this week? Who freaking knows? But I think people are just tired of hoping that he has a decent game. I know he had 19 fantasy points against Carolina 2 weeks ago. So, if you're trying to convince yourself to play him, there's that. But I think he's going to be under-owned he's basically the number 2 option on this team when it comes to receiving. So, at under 30% owned, I kind of like him, man. I think people are just so snake bitten by him that they're just like, I'm done with him, right? Do you agree?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I mean, I got a decent amount of exposure to him and some of my best ball as well, right? Like that's one of those positions you pay for as a tight end, try and get the guys that you think are going to crush all year. But he really hasn't lived up to that, and that's more on the Falcons play calling and their scheme than anything else. Like we've seen him show some flashes of just genius out there, but again, we got to see if he's going to get the run. So look, I guess the easiest way to answer this is my Kyle Pitts exposure will probably be more in the captain. I don't really want to play him all that much just because he is so hit or miss, with mostly being miss.
Yeah.
But if he does have the 20-point outing, 2 touchdowns or whatever it is, at the captain spot at 7K, I think he's going to free up a little bit of flexibility to get a pretty solid lineup in there. But I am interested in some of these backups here.
Okay, go ahead.
I think people are going to kind of lean a little bit more towards Pruitt and Firsker just because they're a little bit more named guys, but I think it's interesting to look at this Parker Hesse guy. He's not really doing much as far as the pass game goes, but he is on the field 64% of the time. The Falcons are running more 2 tight end sets than anything else, right? So you have 2 wide receivers, you have 2 tight ends, then you have Cordell Patterson on the field. He's got 64% of the snap rates to Mir Bird's 22%, right? So he's up there with the top 2 wide receivers. You got Zacchaeus at 65% and London at 78% of the snaps. And then you got random ass Parker Hesse at 64%.
Yeah.
So look, I'm looking for a $200-$400 guy that's going to be on the field and snag potentially a goal line touchdown.
Yeah.
Which is very possible for Parker Hesse. So look, again, for the other 2, Pruitt and Firsker, I don't mind rotating them in. Again, we need something like getting a 0 from a $200 guy isn't as painful as a 3,200 Tommy Tremble getting a 0.
You're right.
So that's kind of where I'm coming at from this.
Opportunities king and Showdown, man. If those guys are on the field, I'm gonna at least look at them. All right, let's go to Carolina. Speaking of Tommy Tremble, he's 3,200. Ian Thomas 2K and Christina Ricci 400. Tommy Tremble is one of these guys that will score touchdowns. He'll get 1 or 2 receptions with a touchdown. It'll happen. But at 3,200, I like to see him closer to this 2,000 range. I think he's priced up a bit because he scored 2 touchdowns in the last few weeks. So to me, I like Tommy Tremble. He's going to be like the last piece in a lot of my lineups. And look, he might only be like 10% owned. So if that ownership holds and people don't start jamming him into like at least 20%, I might be double. Thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm right there with you. Like at the end of the day, so I think we had a showdown. I don't want to get too caught up in stories. Sorry, guys, but we had a showdown a while back where it was one of the first games of the season. It was with Dallas. They had Dalton Schultz and somebody, what it was, Blake Jarwin at tight end. That was it. And we were hesitant on who we should play because they didn't have this number one tight end. But they ended up tearing it up, right? If Tommy Tremble is going to be on the field for 50+% of the snaps, he's going to get opportunities to score. We saw it last week. I think it was Baker Mayfield who hit him. So that might be something to keep in mind. Maybe we need to see if he's had any luck with PJ Walker. But Tommy Tremble is going to get some targets. He's going to get some run, and I don't hate him at 3,200, right? We need to have some kind of value. It's just, I kind of like Ian Thomas here, man.
Yeah.
He's got the other 50% of the snaps. So it's either Tommy on the field or it's Ian on the field. And people are sleeping on Ian Thomas too. Like I know he's not putting up the output, but that's because Carolina sucks.
Yeah.
So this is showdown during prime time. This is where tight ends who we don't talk about score touchdowns. At 2K, we need the value. I don't mind them. And then Christina Ricci, to your point, 27% of the snaps, right? Like, and 27% of the snaps, 3% of the total targets, right? You're getting similar numbers. If he gets close to that 50% mark, then he's going to be pretty close to the same amount of targets as Ian and Tommy are getting. So I just, I really think that he's got opportunity. And again, $400. Him getting 1.2 points isn't the same thing as Ian Thomas or Tommy Tremble getting 1.2 points. So it's something to think about.
Yeah, exactly. Ian Thomas at 2K, he fits into my particular builds. He fits in great in that last spot. I can't, in a lot of my builds, I can't quite get to Tommy Tremble there. And Ian Thomas is always sitting there. And I'm like, please have a, I mean, could you imagine that, Tommy Tremble is sort of the more popular play and everybody's playing him. And then Ian Thomas at like 1% comes out and scores a touchdown. All right. Let's go ahead.
Sorry, cut out on my end for a second. But anyways, bro, are you seeing RG's projected ownership for Tommy Tremble?
No, what is it?
Like they're less than 7%.
What? Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Tommy Tremble is the play because maybe I'm trying to be too contrarian here. He's already a contrarian play at 3,200 at less than 10% owned. Maybe that's the guy. We'll keep an eye on ownership, but you might not even need to play a guy like Ian Thomas unless you are looking for salary savings. Kickers. So this is, look, by the way, please get rid of kickers in all fantasy sports. Just get rid of them. It's just stupid, man. It's just dumb. Youngwei Koo, 4,200. Eddie Pinheiro, 4K. Look, if there's 15 to 20 mile per hour constant winds, if that holds up and we get these wind gusts, you might see some terrible field goal opportunities. You might see some dudes kicking it 20 yards to the left. That wind is going northeast, so that basically cuts across the field. East and west is where the field goals are at. That's cutting across the field. It's not to their back. It's cutting across. So look, maybe I'm looking into this too much. I'm trying to play weatherman here, but these kickers, yeah, if there wasn't a win game, I'd be all over it. But maybe they don't get as many opportunities. Maybe they don't get that 50-yard opportunity. Maybe they just get like 2 or 3 30-yard field goals. Am I thinking too much into this? Are you interested in these guys?
I don't know, man. I think we should just start recording a segment and then just playing it back during this. Play one at most. Probably don't need both. But at the end of the day, I'm with you, man. I think there's better value elsewhere, right?
Yeah. Tommy Tremble, probably could be a better option with the weather. So I don't know, man. I might just avoid him. I mean, I'm not playing a ton of lineups tonight. I'm probably going to only hand build a few, but I don't think I'm going to have kickers in any of those lineups that I build. All right, defense. Falcons defense 5,200, Panthers defense 3,800. So both of these defenses suck ass, but Falcons are priced up at 5,200. They did have that. They had some sort of defensive touchdown against Carolina 2 weeks ago. They gave up 1 million points, but they still ended up scoring 8 fantasy points. because of that touchdown and a couple sacks. You look, the Falcons defense is going up against PJ Walker. Look, I like PJ Walker. I wish him the best. I hope he has a good game. I just don't see it happening. And a guy that could turn the ball over makes the defense interesting. But at 5,200, I don't know if I'm super interested in that. Are you?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna get there again. Like, I think I'd actually be more interested in Young Koo. Like, man, say $1,000. I think defenses are in play because of the potential weather impacts, right? If we see that the weather starts getting shittier and shittier, then we might want to consider them a little bit more. But again, both these teams are averaging or allowing 25 points per game. Um,
Yeah.
if you don't score on defense, the 25 points per game is damn near zero, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it any other way. And 5,200 zero, even a 3,800 zero is not going to work on this slate.
Yeah.
We'll show you a $200 zero and let me go from Panthers D up to one of the to Chuba Hubbard.
The only reason why I think these defenses, especially the Falcons, get a boost is just because that total. Vegas doesn't think this is going to be a high scoring game. And what do we do with a 41.5 total? Every single game that we've done that's been a low total, jam the defenses in, put them in captain, get the kickers in there. Well, maybe not the kickers in this particular case because of the win, but the defense, in my opinion, still, we should be talking about them. And maybe they'll be popular. I don't know. But I'm going to try to at least fit a little bit into maybe one of my lineups because I think the Falcons defense can get a pick six or something. All right, let's go to our captain choice here, our crown their ass segment.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Ellie, you're going Deontay Foreman. I'm going Patterson. Both run game in this particular matchup. Talk to me. Why are you going Foreman over like DJ Moore?
Man, I like Dante Foreman. I think that he's going to get a majority of the work here. And again, the weather script, right? Like, I do think that that's going to play an impact and give him a little bit more touches. And then just for the homer response, he's cheap as hell. It gives you a little more flexibility there at the captain spot, so you don't have to necessarily punt too hard too often.
7,800, man, at captain. That's going to allow us to get Mariota and the running backs and DJ Moore potentially into that lineup. So for me, Cordero Patterson, he's expensive, very expensive. But I just don't see a world where the worst rushing defense doesn't allow a decent game to at least one of these guys. And the good news about Patterson is, with the rain, they might use him in the pass game a little bit more as an extension to their run game. A couple dump offs to him, a couple screen plays to him. You're talking about a receiver, kick returner guy converted to a running back. So to me, that also really just opens up that PPR game, and I just see him being the optimal captain. I just really do. And we're gonna have to find ways to get different in the flex, but I think that's the guy to go to. DJ Moore obviously is another interesting option on paper. He should be one of the highest scoring players on the slate on paper. What are your other options here? Are you interested in any Mariota at captain?
Yeah, absolutely. Mariota with the rushing upside, I think is an interesting captain choice. I'll have a decent amount of him as well. And then I don't mind Kyle Pitts, man. Like I said, if I'm going to roster him, I think rostering him at captain is probably the best option. If we're playing him for the touchdown upside anyway. So, if he has a breakout game, it's going to be probably needed to throw him in at the captain spot. But I think I'm going to be consolidated pretty closely between Cordero Patterson and Marcus Mariota. And then for like more of my GPP tournaments, I'll be focusing on Foreman. But it would be primarily Marcus and Patterson, with Foreman being another one of the spinoffs that I use.
My high dollar single entry that I'm doing, definitely going to have Patterson as the captain.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Our fade of the night, Ellie, you're not taking a stand. I'm going to fade PJ Walker. I think there is a world where he comes out and scores 15, 16 fantasy points. That might be enough at his price tag to get him into the optimal. But the chances that he gets benched are a lot higher than I would like, considering there's two really expensive quarterbacks sitting on the bench making a shitload of money while he's out there running around. They probably want to see what's going on with these other quarterbacks. They probably want to see what they have. Do they have anything? Is Darnold a good backup? I mean, I don't know. But there's too many question marks for me to want to play him. I know that the Falcons' pass defense isn't really is bad, is very bad. So it is a risk. And I think, but I think he's going to be super popular, man. I think he's going to be like the third highest owned guy on the slate, maybe the second highest owned guy. So if you ask me that, I mean, man, I could get a shitload of leverage and not have to be super different in the flex just by not playing him. I'm kind of interested in that. Do you agree with me at all? Even a little bit?
Yeah, no, like, look, PJ Walker, dude. I mean, the more that we talk to the show, he's probably going to end up being a fade. But again, like, I'm non-committal, not because I'm scared, guys. It's just because we're talking about two garbage teams, right? These are bad teams, which makes it a little bit more unpredictable. Both teams are allowing 25 points per game, so you can throw some of these projections out the window. You really got to focus on the game script. So that's why I'm not necessarily committing to a fade, but I will be playing, PJ Walker stacked with Moore, Tommy Tremble, and maybe Dante Foreman, and run back the other way so that I can capture all their offense if they keep it competitive.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's go to our lineup build. Throw us a subscribe, guys. We really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by Thanksgiving. Let's make it happen. We really appreciate you guys. We appreciate you joining the Discord. That's free. And throw this video a like. We really appreciate it. We seem to go over our allotted time, or at least our scheduled time, when we're talking about some of these like kind of shitty games but they're kind of juicy. So we'll try to move through this relatively quick. We apologize for the probably 55-minute episode we're about to throw out there. All right, so this is kind of my core here, Ellie. Patterson at captain, or Patterson just in general, Foreman and Mariota. You probably would want to throw in DJ Moore into this, but then you might not be able to get that Patterson captain. So what do we do here? Do you want to build? You want to just see what the optimal is without Patterson?
Yeah. Hey, refresh your RG though. I had a manual projection from something in there on Cordero, so he's not gonna be in the optimal.
Oh, okay. Did you fix it?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mariota at captain, Pinheiro, who lost the game for them 2 weeks ago, Pitts, Hubbard, Drake London, and DJ Moore. Let's build our own lineup. Let's build our own lineup with Cordero Patterson. He's basically $2,400 more expensive by putting him at the captain, which limits the way we can go. That's why I basically am saying that you could choose between Marcus Mariota in some cases or DJ Moore. And I think people are going to choose DJ Moore quite a bit. So now that we've got these two guys in, do you want to grab Deontay Foreman?
Yeah, let's start with Deontay Foreman and DJ Moore and just see how restrictive this is.
So if we had a solid punt, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but we're gonna have to kind of punt twice. So you're gonna have to go with like a Tommy Tremble at 3,200. That leaves you 1,900, which basically gets you, Cordero Hodge. Can't quite get Ian Thomas. You can get all those tight ends, Christina Ricci, all those Mecole Pruitts, all those kind of guys. So you're gonna punt twice and probably have two tight ends as their punt, which on showdowns isn't the worst thing in the world, but I don't know. That's why I'm kind of like, man, I don't know that I can play too much DJ Moore because I think Marcus Mariota is a better option. I don't know.
So hear me out here. So like so pull out Tommy Tremble. This is one of the reasons why I was interested in one of those $200 guys, right? So we'll try and keep this a 4-2 if possible. So let's just go ahead and punt with Parker Hesse.
Okay.
If that's his name. Right. So now we're in that 4,900 range.
Wow.
Now your options are Caleb Huntley, Demir Bird, Younghoe Koo, Pinheiro, Panthers defense, right?
Yeah.
That's not terrible, man.
Demir Bird there paired up with Mariota. Hey. All right. Now we're talking. Who else can you get? You can get both kickers. Right?
Yep.
Both kickers. Hey, not bad. Hey, that's good, man. Parker Hesse, if he gets you one catch, even if it's not a touchdown, that could be enough if you got the right other pieces. Okay, all right. You want to do one without Moore? See what happens?
Yeah, let's pull out Moore.
All right.
Let's throw in Chuba.
Yes, thank you. Obviously, Chuba's questionable. Black Shear would also be a decent option if Chuba was out. That leaves us 8,500. Where do you want to go here? Do you want to go your value first? You want to go Tremble and then see what's left, or what?
Actually,
Did I say something funny?
okay, bear with me.
Did I say something funny or
No, no,
okay?
no, bro. You're gonna laugh at me right now. All right, let's throw in Christina Ricci, and then let's
Okay.
see what that leaves us at. 8,100.
Yeah.
That's just outside of Drake London. All right, so throw back in. Look, I don't mind running a 3-3 here. Throw in Parker Hesse instead of Christina Ricci, and throw in Drake London.
Okay.
Then you got Patterson, Mariota, London, and then your punt, right? And then even if you want, you can come down from London, go down to Pitts, and you have a little bit more flexibility in that punt spot.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'm not high on Pitts, but again, you're capturing where the offense is going with those kind of lineups.
Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. Do you want to build anything else with Patterson, or do you want to move on to somebody else?
Let's actually fade. Let's fade the run game for Carolina and kind of focus on it. Let's see if we can do a PJ Walker, David Moore, or DJ Moore. God damn it, David
Okay.
Moore.
DJ Moore.
He hasn't played for like 3 years.
All right. So Patterson, Mariota, Walker, DJ Moore. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah. Let's throw in Tommy Tremble. No, never mind. That's not going to work. So Ian Thomas, and then
These tight ends.
what does that give us?
1,300.
1,300.
A big FU.
Yeah, see, they know what they were doing. That's why the pricing is set up this way, because now you don't have anybody you can go to. You miss out on Kadero Hodge, and you have to go down to Pruitt, Ricci, Edwards, so on and so forth.
So you got to go with freaking Parker Hesse or one of these other $200 guys. Does that get you anything at 3,100? Is it worth
Visca.
it?
Yep, Laviska Shenault.
Whew.
I'll run that.
Man,
Save that.
I can promise you one thing. This shit ain't going to be duped. I can promise you that. You put this in the Millimaker, you're taking out home all of it.
And this is why I'm comfortable playing those $200 guys. Like, I think this is the first year that these $200 guys have actually been viable, right? Because the pricing is more efficient.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think they have to throw in some of these guys like with some upside at $200, $400, because the pricing. You're right. The pricing is just too tight, man. It's just been too tight lately. All right, who do you want to go with next? Do you want to go DJ Moore, Captain?
let's do it.
All right, DJ Moore. You want to go Mariota?
Yeah, Mariota, Patterson, Foreman.
Yeah, there we go. 6,400. You could punt and go in the 6K range, or you could go like Tommy Tremble, and I guess that doesn't really get you much. You got to go a second shitty tight end. So what do we do here?
Parker Hesse, and then Tyler Algier.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, we didn't talk a lot about Algier. I definitely like him, man. Even with Patterson.
That's a 2-4.
That's nice. Look at that. 0 salary left. That's pretty perfect, man. I'm saving that. That might be a Millie Maker one there.
And then you can rotate that last spot. Chuba, Zacchaeus, Falcons defense. Too much salary.
Yep, you're right. All right, let's go one more. Let's build one more. Who do you want?
Dante Foreman.
Dante Foreman. Let's do it. Here, let's click the button and see what it wants to do. Pinheiro, you already lost me at that. Hubbard, London, Moore, Mariota. Let's do our own. Probably be kind of close, minus the London probably. Mariota, Patterson.
Yeah, and then let's throw in London on this one actually.
Okay, no DJ Moore.
No, let's go Chuba.
Okay.
And just see what that leaves us at.
2,300. Guess who?
Ian Thomas.
Freaking Ian. Let's pull out. Let's pull out London and go with DJ, right?
Go to DJ. Yeah, go to DJ.
And let's punt. Let's go Mecole. Let's just go Mecole and see what happens. See what that gets us. 6,500.
Yeah, again, this is a great range to be in.
Algier, man, Foreman gets you a lot. Still got the upside, low ownership. You go Chuba here. That's actually really nice. Oh man, that's nice. And you could just go down. Falcons defense. You can do a ton of these. Hey, Foreman's, man, I'm kind of liking Foreman, man. You want to do anything weirder with him? You want to do one weird one here?
Yeah, actually, let's just throw in Kyle Pitts real quick.
Captain or just in the flex?
Yeah.
Captain? All right, let's do it.
Captain, yeah.
All right, let's do Kyle Pitts here. This is going to be even nicer. Pair him.
And then
hang on, sorry. Pair him with Mariota, right?
Yep. And Patterson. Throwing your boy DJ Moore.
My boy, yeah. 8,300.
Let's. What guys do we like at this? I mean, throwing Dante Foreman.
And
damn,
guess
why
who?
not?
Guess who?
Parker Hesse.
Parker Hesse. Oh man, if this guy scores a touchdown, man, holy shit, man. Trust me, we're not gonna have 100% Parker Hesse. He's gonna be.
You might not.
What, dude? He might be like 1% owned. Hang on, let me look.
I play these guys way too much, but the problem is like on these highly efficient slates where you have a team like Atlanta where they have two guys getting 80% of the targets or 80% of the snaps and everybody else is 15 to 20%. You need to have those guys in your lineup, and sometimes getting a 0 from these guys so that you can force in those concentrated usage guys is what you have to do.
So I learned that if we truly punt there at $200, $400, I can still do some more DJ Moore. I think that might be the way to go, man. That might be the way to go. So what are your thoughts on this total? You thinking the over? What's your final score prediction? And I'm guessing you think Parker Hesse's going to score, right?
Yeah. Parker Hesse is my low-owned dude that's going to score. But look, I'm going to go with 25 to 25, and this ends in a tie. Why not? Let's just play the averages.
Oh, dude, you should bet on that. Can you bet on that? Just put $5 on it, man. Screw it.
$5. A bet like that would be like plus 20,000 odds. I actually look at it, probably put $1 on it and make a shitload.
I'm gonna go 21-14 Falcons, and I think. Sorry, PJ Walker. I think you get pulled in the third quarter, and Baker comes in and throws a pick 6. And they pull Baker, and then they put in Darnold, and then he throws a pick 6. I think the Falcons should win this. They should have won the last matchup. This is a weather game. I think they pull this out. The Falcons are an average team, maybe even trending towards slightly better than average. I don't know. Is that crazy for me to say?
Absolutely not. They're tied for first in the division.
Hey, there we go. All right, we'll see you guys later. Throw us a like. We really appreciate it. And we will see you guys for Sunday night, right? Sunday at 4 p.m. We'll be posting our next show. See you guys later.